Got done early today?
We did. Injuries, fatigue, just general. I thought we started to lose some momentum in camp, and so assignment-wise today was the main focus, some recovery physically, focus on treatment, and then looking to gear it up again with a slight break today.
Can you address the injuries over the last couple of days? We haven't had a chance to talk since Jordan Johnson and Tooney went down.
So Jordan Johnson, ACL, similar to Trenton Trammell, returning a kick, really not much other than kind of planted his foot funny and leg buckled a little bit, and that was all it took. So, and then Tooney Canuch 2 days ago or 3 days ago in a drill, we saw him hold his shoulder, but then we found out later that his pec actually was torn off the bone, so his pain threshold is high, but his strength never came back, so both of them are season-ending.
What about Dallin Levitt?
Dallin Levitt, no longer, well, the early report is 7 days max. It looks like just a strain rather than anything more structural than that.
Is it hip flexor?
Hip flexor. Yep.
When you talked to us Monday morning, did you not at that point have the extent of Jordan's situation?
No, he was at the doctor getting an MRI. We found out later that afternoon is when we got word on Jordan.
You never like to talk about it ahead of time, but do you pretty much count on a certain number of injuries in camp that you kind of just expect to happen?
Man, I don't know if you ever want to count on it or even let yourself think that. The hope is the program builds enough depth to where when they occur and if they occur, you can handle them. Some positions hurt more than others, and that's just kind of the way it goes.
Does it make you gun-shy at all as far as practice, contact, and so forth?
Man, it would if the injuries happened in contact. You know, most of the injuries we're having are just with the tempo that we're playing at, with the volume of repetitions we're getting, with as hard as we're going. It's more just, I would say, overuse, if that's the right word for it.
Is that a concern moving forward? Just
Sure.
as far as...
Yeah, program design will certainly have to take into account maybe the number of players we bring and at which positions as you look at the workload shifting and how fast and hard it is to keep up with it.
Have you made moves to supplement the depth at cornerback?
Yeah, Eric Thornton, who was doing really well at wide receiver, really well, is we've moved to field corner.
You mentioned that certain positions can afford a hit more than other positions. Is that cornerback position one of the positions you could least afford a hit?
Field corner, if I would have put on the scale going into 2 days where I certainly hoped we wouldn't, that would have been number one. Now you're considering a field corner we brought in Trenton Trammell, another field corner we brought in Sam Lee, and another field corner now a starter. So that's 3 at the same spot. And then Trevor Bateman's currently not practicing, which is the 4th. Hopefully we'll get him back. So really a unique set of circumstances right now. Hopefully we'll get Sam back, and hopefully we'll get Trevor back.
How big of a concern is the depth there in the cornerback positions then?
Only as big as we make it right now. Rob Daniel will move over to field corner. Hopefully we'll get Mike Haig back healthy, and he might be able to help us at boundary corner, and then we'll find out who our backup might be.
Can you talk more about Sam Lee's health situation?
Yeah, he has a back injury, and it could be to where he's ready for game 1, or it could be as late as possibly game 3, is what I've been told.
You want a good athlete at kick return, obviously, and some measure of hindsight. Was there any pre-camp discussion in terms of cornerback thinness there about maybe limiting options or possibilities, or you just play a guy?
No, there really wasn't. One of the factors that we think is really helpful to our program is where we start with the football in terms of scoring points. And so, and Jordan happened to be going into that practice, again, with no contact, not a scrimmage, not anything, which is the safest environment on grass. It was then, he was the returner based on what he had done up to camp. So he had kind of separated himself.
Kololo Utu and John Raheem Peoples have been limited. Can you update their situation?
Yeah, Kololo will let go for 2 weeks, see if he can be effective in a club, and then we'll make a decision on what his status might be. Raheem Peoples is gradually coming back. He's come back twice, re-injured at both times. Just where the volume and the pressure in their nose is hard, and so just when we think he's ready, he's not quite ready.
So this is his ankle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What's up with Kololo? You said a club.
Yeah, so Kololo has a wrist that was operated on a year ago, and his flexibility isn't great, and so when the wrist bends back, it's still painful. So he'll be playing kind of in a splint modified rubberized cast looking apparatus.
So how about a returner then?
Returner. That's a great question. Adam Hine probably off returner. possibly Cody Hoffman or J.D. Falslev as the main returner.
Anything go on today out there in terms of guys that had to miss or leave or get hurt again? Or?
No, nothing today, and we didn't give it a chance. Today was only assignment work, warm-up, and really walk-through tempo. Again, most of today will be with that regrouping for then the Thursday, Friday, Saturday format.
Have these season enders cast a bit of a, just in either in staff meeting or when you guys get together, is it a down period right now?
Oh, it's down really for as long as it can be, which is about that day. The lingering effects for the coaching staff and relationships, especially with Jordan texting and calling at night, etc., goes on. The team certainly was really disappointed and hurt when they saw and heard what Jordan's injury was, and then the next practice hits. And so you have to match up and adjust and do the best you can. And then we also have to provide the right care for Jordan to make sure that he's looked after and then can return.
Are Levitt and Daniels your top two corners now?
If you were to say today, that's who they'd be.
Does the injuries then reflect on how you might scrimmage in terms of the importance of it?
Yeah, it'll be almost exclusively depth. So the first scrimmage, we held out about 7 players on either side of the ball, and so there might be even 1 or 2 more that will hold out. And if we can find the remaining couple in the 2 deep and then maybe some special teams guys, that will probably be the focus of Saturday.
Did you say Dallon's out a week? Is that what you said about that?
That's about what I've heard.
Who would be the ones, like Rob Daniel at 1? I mean,
Sky Pove.
Sky right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is there any depth?
And I wouldn't make too much of today, knowing that we're 2.5 weeks or so for 3 weeks from playing a game. And so the story can be what changes practice by practice, but I think it's going to look quite a bit different when we get to game week.
What about the offensive line? Have any starters emerged? Are you guys closer to naming kind of 5 guys there?
I don't think so, and if we do, it'll probably be midweek next week. So we'll go through Saturday, maybe the following Wednesday would be probably when I'd be saying this looks definite at this point. Too much competition still.
And Mike Hague tweeted that he feels like he's ready to go after a long time off. Was he back out doing more stuff? And how close
He's been doing more day in and day out over the last, I would say, week. And so we've been very cautious with him, and I'll probably be more cautious than necessary even now because of the value of having another healthy and good player there. And Mike can play a number of positions, which really helps. He can be a nickel, he can be a free, he can be a boundary corner. And so even having him back really gives you the equivalent of a different 2 deep just by 1 player.
So much injury talk today, obviously, but can you talk about offensive execution maybe in team today, how they looked and how things are moving on that side?
Didn't do any team today. All we did was individual, and the team was separate. And so nothing happened today that would indicate anything different.
How about yesterday? We didn't see team yesterday.
Yesterday was about how it had been. Offense is consistent. Didn't put the ball in the end zone, but moved the length of the field a number of times. And I thought the run game continues to improve, play action pass coming along, and then we hit some deep throws on the outside. Blue zone scoring is kind of where the next, even though it's been emphasized, the ways to go still execution there.
Justin Sorensen separating at all? Any separation among kickers?
It's really close still, and man, I would say that's going to happen all the way up maybe until game week. They're really close.
When you recruited Cody Hoffman out of that small town in California, did you have any idea, any inkling that he would do what he's gone on to do?
We really didn't, and I would say even maybe through year 1 or even year 2, I mean the consistency is so vital in the program, and that he can perform the way he has each season, that's hard to do. And so I think it's been a surprise is probably a minimalistic word for it. It's been an amazing career for him.
What about his character has enabled him to thrive here?
That's a great question. I think first and foremost, rather than saying character, he's really smart. He's capable of handling the academic load. He's capable of seeing the bigger picture of this institution. He's capable of managing all those things at the same time. And then he's a good athlete as well, which allows him enough success to make sense of doing it all with football included. So he's just he's a great young man.
With Tooney out, is Ethan seeing more reps at nose? Will he be rotating a bit more end nose?
Really working Kololo quite a bit and Meti Taliauli, and so we'd rather keep Ethan at end if possible. And so really we're pushing Marcus Johnson hard, we're pushing Kololo Utu hard, and we're pushing Meti Taliauli hard. And then we'll kind of sort it out as we go.
Marcus still the guy right now?
It's close. I would say, if you had to say, yeah, but tomorrow's Thursday, and it might be different Thursday.
Even with those newcomers, or is he competing with the freshmen we're talking about?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks everybody.